let's start from the beginning. Also, shout out Wick. All right, reacting. I'll make this a segment. Shout out Wick. Like this. Go check out his YouTube channel. Good stuff. I'm gonna react to basically the full thing. Um, so let's dive into it.
Edgy jokes, dehumanization, and whether or not influencers, public figures, etc., on our side, the anti-Trump side, have a responsibility to behave well in public settings. As most of you are aware, after the Texas floods, Destiny put out a tweet saying the following: I heard God killed those kids because they were using NordVPN promo code Destiny to get around the Texas porn ban. This is not the first time Destiny is engaged in such dark humor. Asmongold recently made a comment that he thinks such statements and jokes are counterproductive and work against his goals. So we're going to talk about it today. Is this humor a good way to expose Republican hypocrisy and raise awareness of issues? Or is it undermining the work of opposing Trump? How dark woke, quote unquote, should we go? Does when they go low, we go lower help us or hurt us? And we've got quite the cast to talk about it, including the man himself. We're just going to go around, quick opening thoughts, and then we'll get into the meat of it. We're going to start with counterpoints. Go ahead.
I'll be very clear. My stance is very obvious. It 100% does not help. I don't think they will make a single good argument whether or not it helps. The best argument they can make is it's net neutral, meaning it doesn't do anything. They definitely can't make the argument it helps in a serious political manner, in a trolly political internet manner. Sure, but who gives a fuck what internet trolls say? And now would I police Destiny? I don't know. After the last few days, I've come to a new understanding of myself and realized I don't give two shits about a lot of things anymore. Not because I don't care about society, but more so I'm not interested in playing the nicety games when we're not focused on the right things. I'm cool with jokes, I'm cool with trolling, but it's all about like pros and cons. A lot of this stuff Destiny says has no pro. He just says shit. Stupid shit for no reason. It gotta be at least funny, right? That's the thing. Like, he said a random joke about this was such a fucking stupid joke. It wasn't even a good joke. This was ass. Some dude was talking about how there's this kid who was like sweeping his driveway or some shit, and then he talks about how his daughter coming home, and then he was like, bro, did he get any with his 7-year-old daughter? And I'm like, why? Like, there's some why? It just wasn't necessary. It just wasn't. And the joke regarding the floods wasn't necessary.
Yeah, so in my opinion, it's not about dark, edgy jokes in particular. Obviously, we all like a good fucked up joke every now and then. That's not the problem. The problem is what is gained and what is lost. Also, the hybridization of alt media and mainstream media. That's the real question here. Just as an example, I did get it confirmed that roughly billions of dollars were spent on advertising in the 2024 election, and roughly $100 million got spent on newspaper ads by the Democratic Party in 2024. Democrats are scared of alternative media. The reason why they're scared of alternative media is because we have people like Vosh jerking off to kitty horse porn. We have people like Hassan, hanging out with terrorists. And we got Destiny talking about dead kids in Texas and how they deserve to die because they were jerking off to, porn with using a VPN. So this is the kind of shit that is going
Hey man, counterpoints stealing my take. It's all about the value of what is being said. There's just no his like make a joke about Donald Trump, and you know what? I'll show you this real quick. Gavin Newsom, fucking killing it right now. He had this one meme. I fucking love. There's some memes that I see that I fucking love, man, and they be killing it. Here's one of the memes that Here's two of the memes that I really fucking like. So, one of the memes, I'll put them on my Instagram. Here's one of the memes. Funny as hell. Funny as hell. Here's another meme that I really liked. Great meme. Honestly, I want to meme more. The joke Destiny said was ass. It didn't even make sense. So, it's all about value. Be entertaining. Be meaningfully entertaining.
Going to push normies away. It's going to push the mainstream away. It's going to push those dollars away. And so as a result, it's not whether or not you can make fucked up jokes. I don't give a shit about that. What I give a shit about is we got real work to do.
Okay, Destiny. Answer for your
Folks.
crimes.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much of a downside unless you let there be a downside. I think that conservatives are allowed to have humor. I thought comedy was legal again. And I think that the big issue with Democrats being scared of alternative media is that they're scared of like any environment that they don't have like optimal control over. And I think they dramatically overestimate how much the public gives a fuck about edgy jokes. I think it has less to do with edgy jokes and more to do with who has the power in the situation. And so if you have the power, it's unironically like what conservatives used to say, find out who you can't make fun of, and then you'll find out who controls you. And for a lot of things, yeah, conservatives can just make the most insane jokes ever and be fine. And Democrats have to be like tiptoeing around every single topic. I think it's funny to make jokes, and we should keep making jokes. Fuck them.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it, I'm sure. Not so erudite. Kyla, please.
Yeah, so I wanted to have this conversation because I care about real political outcomes. I think if we claim to be evidence-based, left-leaning commentators who want to fight misinfo and push for positive change, we need to be honest about what works. So it's fine for advocacy to reflect our personalities, but if we just do something because it feels good, it's probably important that we don't confuse that with what's effective. And what I would argue for is we don't have to be maximally effective at all times, right? I would never advocate for that necessarily. But the evidence typically shows, whether it's psychological theory or basic behavioral science, that shame and being super nasty typically is a bad motivator for change, particularly for people who view you as the outgroup. And so in my mind, if the goal is to move people and actually shifts hearts and minds, we need to make sure that we're being mindful of like how we're coming across, right? If we want to claim moral superiority, well, then we can't be doing things that make us look morally more questionable. If we think that scorching or going scorched earth and dunking leads to progress, we should probably stop kidding ourselves. It probably doesn't. And I think one of the things that I think is Stephen's strength specifically is his ability to kind of be that token liberal in conservative spaces. I think he's been effective at being like that one liberal where they go, this guy's pretty reasonable, which essentially introduces a fundamental binary paradigm shift for a lot of people listening. And I think that that's really important to do. And my suspicion is that this type of joke, while I don't really care about edgy jokes in and of themselves, my suspicion is that essentially this joke was more offensive than it was funny, and you lost a whole bunch of social capital with people that I think you could be more effective if you maintain that social.
She's cooking. She's absolutely correct. Let's be very clear. There's no way to measure the impact of edgy jokes. That doesn't exist. Unless you do like a survey. It doesn't exist. But you can realize and use a combination of anecdotal experiences and generalized perceived understandings of certain things to also help determine why people are thinking the way they think, right? For example, the messaging when it comes down to, and it's usually a combination of what the left and what the right is doing. Well, let's stick with the left really, because they were the ones who pushed it first, and then the right had overcorrected and became unhinged. So the left, for example, one of the consistent messages that they kept on putting out was the fact that all white people are racist and black people can't be racist. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that. And then you keep on repeating this and repeating this and repeating this. And nobody that has a position of influence, for the most part, especially political influence, like senators and congressmen, none of them ever counteracted this point because they needed the votes. So it wasn't dismayed by important political officials. Much of the popular left-wing social media, independent media figures also push this messaging. I mean, currently we have people like Hassan and Dean pushing this messaging, in addition to the far left radicals. And then you get a generalized opinion about what the left, what the left represents. And then someone who's like in the middle, independent, gets a perceived notion that, oh, the left just thinks all white people are racist, man. That's weird. So the idea that jokes, which is tangential to what I'm saying, can't do the same exact thing in terms of creating a generalized perception of a particular ideology or side is wrong. It is objectively wrong. Now, I'm sure they're going to get into what the right is doing versus the left. We'll address that once they get there.
Capital with. I have a feeling that my criticisms of Soy Pill and Steven will be somewhat different. So right now I'm angling them more at Steven, but I'm sure as we talk, there'll be stuff that is more directed at Soy Pill. So yeah.
Oh, we'll get to Soy Pill in a second. Soy Pill, speaking of the devil, go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought Destiny's joke was pretty funny, but somehow the right wing was able to capitalize this and shift the conversation from horrible policy by Ted Cruz and the right wing got a bunch of people killed to, oh, some guy was mean. So we're letting the right wing drive this outrage machine. They don't fucking care. Marjorie Taylor Greene can call us all pedophiles. She doesn't get repercussions. The only reason we're allowed to do it now is because they're blocking the Epstein file release. But vibes do matter, and look at the vibe conversation. Like, Kamala didn't lose because she was too mean. She lost because she didn't go on these podcasts where she could be more authentic. Joe Rogan, Theo Von, Nelk Boys, and they tell Holocaust jokes, rape jokes, like all sorts of wild shit. Like, it's this idea that, oh, well, you're not authentic enough, but also you have to be prim and proper and perfect, because if you don't, like, you're not cool. I'm not arguing for there to be no policing. We can call it illegal things like calls to violence, sex crimes.
Although I do agree with the point about authenticity, let's be very fucking clear. If Destiny was in front of kids that are dying in a flood, he would not say that dumbass joke. So move me with authenticity. People think that these internet personalities are really authentic. I don't think they are, for the most part. So I think if Destiny would do that, then fuck it. I don't think he would. I don't think he would do that. I think he became a little bit too nihilistic and black-pilled about everybody else, and it made him kind of forget that sometimes, other than the Magtards, there are people that are in the same environment as the Magtards that are suffering as well.
But why waste our time complaining about optics to some arbitrary amount of voters who care about optics over policy? I'm willing to change my mind. I don't know, Kyla, you might have this.
You can't really argue that either, because Destiny went on Piers Morgan's show after he said the joke, knowing, I'm be honest, Destiny, you knew he was going to bring that stupid joke up. So the right brought it up and Destiny had to respond to it. He can't just ignore it because he's the one who said it. Now, if you want to have a conversation on using mean jokes as a means to access wider audiences, different conversation. If they dive into that, I will address that. We'll see.
If you can show me some data that says, oh, voters left the Democrats because of crass humor and meanness, but I've heard far more people say they leave the left because they're policing too much and telling white men to sit down and be quiet. So I say, let the white boys have their summer. Stop wasting energy clutching your pearls at fucking nothing. Save it for educating people on policy that actually matters. We tried to go high. When they go low, we lost 2 elections doing it. They're going to find outrage regardless. It's a waste of time.
Okay, and with that, let's open the floor. Go ahead, gang.
Yeah, so
Sure.
actually let's go ahead and you tell me, number one, which part is funny. I'll tell you which part is funny to me. And then also tell me where we're talking about Ted Cruz's policy, because that's part of your rebuttal, is that there's this 3,000 IQ appeal to hypocrisy understanding baked into the tweet. So let's see if we can find that through some literary analysis. So I heard God killed those kids, okay, because they were using NordVPN. I'm not done yet. Oh, you think that's funny?
No. Do you want me to tell you why I think the joke is funny?
In a second. So they were using NordVPN promo code Destiny. Hold on, real quick. I just want to explain the promo code. As much as I hated this fucking joke and it pissed me off, promo code VPN was fucking hysterical. Like, yeah, objectively,
that's the part I thought was funny.
That's the funniest part of the fucking joke, right?
Okay.
All right. Now, to get around the Texas porn ban, gross. The girls who got killed were 8 years old to 13 years old. Okay. Now, where is the appeal to hypocrisy amongst conservatives, and where's the explanation of like Republicans canceling funding for ARP for doing the siren in this area?
Well, so you're attacking two different arguments in the same breath. Well, one of them, you're saying that somehow edgy jokes must also be calling out hypocrisy. I don't think that's necessary.
That's the position that DGG is doing 100%.
Well, I'm not DGG. If you want to talk to DGG, talk to them. I'm talking to the Well, no, I'm saying that edgy jokes are fine, and we should also be calling out hypocrisy from the Republicans. You don't need to do these things in the same breath. But second of all, if anything, if I'm not mistaken, did Destiny not go on Piers Morgan and then defend the hypocrisy, attack the hypocrisy to like a whole crowd of millions of people? Like, that is a conversation starter, as much as you might not like it.
So Stephen, that's an important question. Did you think that you were going to become is this an avant-garde marketing strategy? Did you think you were going to get an invite from Piers Morgan? You're like,
oh, well, there you go. They're addressing the idea of utilizing radical messaging to get notoriety. Okay. All right, we'll see. We'll see it.
I'm going to tweet out about dead kids jerking off to porn, and this is 100% going to result in people inviting me onto their shows.
Possibly. I would just like to clarify one part of the joke, though. You said that it was gross that they were underage and it was a porn joke. Well, that was why God was punishing them. If they were adults that were using NordVPN to watch porn, then God wouldn't punish them. So it wouldn't make any sense, would it?
No, God would still punish them.
Number one.
Number
two. Wait, real quick. To answer the question, because did I know I could find it? I don't know. Maybe not. I generally, at this point, when it comes to edgy humor conservatives, I don't necessarily.
So that's not a fucking answer. No, you didn't know you were going to get invited. It's either a yes or it's a no. It's not. If it's not a confirmed response, that means you said it without thinking about the repercussions. That's all it means. You didn't have a grander vision, a grander plan in mind.
Really make these jokes with like some huge grand master plan in mind. I just think liberals need to be way less fucking soy about making fun of conservatives for retarded shit. They've like moved the window of acceptable behavior so unbelievably far in one direction.
I could. This is 3 hours long, so I don't think I'm going to react to the full thing. So make sure you guys go to Wick's channel and read the full thing, or whoever else's channel. I think Destiny posted it, and Eurodite, not for Eurodite, also posted it. I'll be very clear. I think Counterpoints is going to say exactly what I'm thinking, so I'm going to shut my mouth and let him talk.
That at this point, I refuse to be policed by actual subhuman degenerate filth about what we can or can't joke about when they make the most unhinged degenerate jokes ever. And I have seen absolutely zero evidence whatsoever that this go low, go high, whatever bullshit has ever worked ever for liberals. It seems like all of the most popular moments have usually been when they're kind of roasting the other side a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. And I feel like liberals are the ones that have the most negative reactions.
Is that why Beto O'Rourke won in Texas? Was because he was being so hardcore when he said that I'm going to take away your AR-15? Was he giga chatting in that moment? Was that a popular take that he had?
I don't know, but the most popular take I remember Beto O'Rourke having about weapons was when he said something about like "fuck your AR-15s." There's a big deal.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So obviously, you can be giga chat about good things, and you can be giga chat about bad things, and you can get punished for being giga chat about bad things, and rewarded for being giga chat about good things. Right? This stands to reason.
I guess. I don't know. That wasn't really a joke he was making, though. He was just saying a swear word. No.
Yeah, but you made correct me if I'm wrong, but you made the argument that the time that Democrats have most succeeded is when they haven't been soy, when they haven't been milquetoast, and they've stand on business. Well, I feel like
I'm just saying I don't know if they've ever gotten credit. I don't think they've ever gotten credit ever for being like kind and nice to conservative stuff. I just don't know.
I don't think we're asking you to be kind or nice. I think you could have been incredibly
no, not about me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying
same point.
I'm just saying that in.
Yeah, you're not addressing counterpoints' issue. Nobody's telling you to be nice. If you're gonna, it's meaningful jokes that have an inherent purpose and value. I think the conversation will eventually move into a morality conversation. But right now, before we get into that, in terms of whether or not you believe you should tell jokes, telling a joke is fine. Telling a funny joke is better. Telling a very mean, funny joke is great. Telling a joke about unrelated individuals who are suffering just because they are in a state that holds mostly Republicans is fucking stupid, especially when kids are involved. That's just fucking idiotic. That makes no sense. You're not attacking MAGA. You're talking about kids dying from floods. MAGA's not involved there.
In general, on the Democrat side, this like call to being kind and compassionate and empathetic and understanding. I just don't know if like Democrats have ever gotten.
Nobody's asking you to do that shit.
I wanted to give.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody calls you pussies.
Yeah, I want to give Kyla a chance to get in. She was trying to get in earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I just want to make sure to reframe this because even Soapill's opening made it seem like this is about edgy jokes, which is understandable because I think for Wick it's about edgy jokes. I'm not totally sure. I just want to be very clear. I don't give a fuck about edgy jokes. I don't give a single rip. You make as many edgy jokes as you want to. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. What I care about here fundamentally is our predisposition in how we are willing to talk to the opposing side. And I think that that is something that is decaying, not just amongst leftists, which had never existed, but I'm seeing it decay within liberals. And I think that that is harmful to our cause, right? So in the case of like Steven's edgy joke, okay, well, yeah, unfortunately, it was way more offensive than it was funny. It was a little fancy, it was a lot offensive, and it was made more offensive by the timing. So it flopped to even the point that the left didn't like it, right? But again, I don't really care. I'm not interested in just policing people's edgy joke. What I'm interested in is thinking about.
She's definitely having a different conversation. I'll give my thoughts about that in a second. I will say this though. No, I will say nothing. We'll continue the video.
How we talk to and engage with one another. For example, Soypill, the way that you talk to Tally on that panel, I think is part of the problem. I don't think that this is how you are ontologically all the time, but I think this idea where we talk to people of opposite ideas, we go as aggressive as possible, and we try to tear down not just like who they are, but their humanity. I mean, some of the statements that I quoted from you saying, I think were like pretty shitty, right? It's not just about you're being a little bit mean. It's this entire orientation which says if we want democracy to work, we have to be able to talk to the other side. And while I'll be the first to say that I think the right is full of crazy people and assholes, they're crazy people and assholes that we have to be able to talk to and convince to our side. And I'm not seeing that like the smug nastiness or scorched earth policy that I would criticize Stephen of with, say, like maybe a Tectone or an Asmongold is going to be effective for polling particularly moderates and undecided towards our position.
Yeah,
wait, real quick, just as a real quick thing on that. Isn't that exactly what Trump did with the entire tech bro movement though? Like, didn't he pull in a bunch of people, like record high Hispanic voters, record high tech bro people, Elon Musk, like with the most divisive and vitriolic and toxic rhetoric ever? Didn't he pull in a ton of
sure, but people are stupid.
But are we assuming, hold on.
I want to back up.
Let Kyla finish, please. Let Kyla finish.
The issue is you would have to submit to me evidence that it was him being a fucking asshole versus Kamala, A, getting switched last minute so they didn't even know who they were voting for, and B, on top of that, her entire mantra was essentially let's keep things the same when people desperately wanted change. So maybe
the point,
it was
Kyla, the point isn't that it's attracting voters necessarily. It's the point is,
I mean, that's how Destiny framed it. That is vitriolic messaging. It attracted people to the message that he's trying to make. And ultimately, unless you're trying to make a net neutral argument, and a net neutral argument in this situation, I still don't buy. But let me hear him out.
that it's clearly not alienating all these moderates, that they're still voting for him in these record high numbers. Like, this isn't some poison that's going to destroy the Democratic Party. And
that's not an argument. Net neutrality is not an argument for doing something. and I would disagree with the net neutrality argument, but I don't think it is something you should utilize as something you should do in enforcing a particular action, unless you're saying don't. I guess maybe he's making the argument that you can message however you want, whether it's aggressive, neutral, or nice. It has no value of the message itself. And I disagree. I disagree to that. I disagree to that as well. I don't believe in that logic. I don't think it plays out.
Yeah, but Tally is the person that's winnable. I watched the Tallybots live and learn bully session.
Tally is stupid, and I don't care.
That doesn't matter.
If
By the way,
nice to her is going to win her over. We should be educating her on policy.
Tally is stupid. So you don't believe messaging matters. Then you called her stupid, dismissing her value. And then you're trying to make an argument we should focus purely on policy, but not the messaging. There's too much inconsistency. What's going on here is an overcorrection because MAGA is insane. And your overcorrection's leading you to the idea that you feel like I deserve to be me because MAGA's me. Because there's no logic to what you're saying here.
Completely different conversation.
Soy pill. Regardless of whether or not you question Tally's individual intelligence, democracy is about appealing to stupid people.
Right. And there's
I don't know if you knew that. So hold on. No,
because you don't know my position.
Hey, let Counterpoints finish his point, then you can respond.
Let him straw man me for 5 minutes, and then I can give my real position.
No. I'll take about 1 minute. And on top of that, I'll be very precise with my language, which doesn't have anything about your character involved in it, okay? What's funny is Tally is in a red state, but she's a blue person. She did not think that her vote really mattered, and what she wanted was to do a protest vote, effectively saying the Democrats are not catering to me as a part of the base, and I am your natural supporter. And your guys' reaction to that so far hasn't been, damn, we lost kind of like a progressive, liberal, Jewish girl. What are we doing that's so off-putting? Your entire perspective has been struggle sessioning her and calling her a fucking idiot, which, by the way, other moderates are going to see, and they're going to be like, well, fuck you too.
I called her a retard, for to be clear. And second of all,
Connor's completely correct by that point, by the way. Completely correct.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't be advocating for educating people on what policy affects them and how they should be voting differently. But clearly, if this person is so adverse to learning about the consequences of policy that whoever was mean to her last, or whatever kind of perception she has of which party is nicer or less adverse, like that's what she votes on. Why would I waste time on this person who's hold on, let me finish. I let you finish your stupid thing. No, so when she is on a platform and the topic is, hey, Tolly, what do Democrats need to do? That's when I'm going to come at you. For like, my channel is about reaching out to Trump supporters, which is a very different thing. I understand the point of compassion, the point of letting them speak, and understanding why they voted so we can change them. But when these pundits are out here saying the dumbest shit ever, displaying their lack of intelligence, I'm going to come up and I'm going to be mean to them, because that's my authentic feeling, is that they're fucking retarded. They need to shut the fuck up. That's a very different conversation than trying to convince a swath of people to come over. And these things can be done.
It's not a different conversation. Most of the people that you're trying to convince are like her. That doesn't even make sense. How are you going to convince a swath of people if you can't even reach out to one person? That's counterproductive. That makes no fucking sense. None at all. Now, did she say something? I didn't watch the full thing because I was busy. But did she say some things that I thought were pretty dumb? Sure. Fine. Cool. Rock on. I'm not going to insult her intelligence or dismiss her entirely. So that's just counterproductive in this conversation. And then you also contradicted yourself. You initially made the claim that there is no value, or there's no meaningful value, or there's no evidence that aggressive messaging can affect voting outcomes. And then you just use the example of Tali and how people were being mean to her that affected her voting outcome. So yeah, that doesn't make any sense, dog.
In parallel.
Okay, so I want to acknowledge what Wick said, which is effectively that she was in an overwhelming blue state,
Yeah.
so she didn't think that her vote was going to matter. So it was the opposite of what I said, but the point still stands. Oh, all right, so here's my fucking frustration with this, okay? So I get exactly what you said, and on top of that, plurality of tactics, all right? So if Steven wants to be fucking edgy, you want to have debates, and then you want to be nice to some people but mean to some people, I totally understand a plurality of tactics, okay? But what I'm saying is there's something so fundamentally obvious that should be acknowledged by every single fucking Democrat and isn't, which is effectively on October 7th, 2023, you had tons of progressives, not just leftists saying prison, so what was Hamas supposed to do? While there's people getting raped and murdered on Twitter, and then a bunch of Jews go, oh shit, my progressive coalition, my multi-ethnic, multi-religious coalition actually views me as subhuman and laughs when fucking my people get murdered. What the fuck?
Yeah,
and they got so turned off, they moved away from the Democrats.
The issue here isn't about edgy jokes. The issue is that legitimately a lot of people on the left supported Hamas terrorist attacking Israel. I think that was the issue.
Well, no shit. That's why I brought it up in my intro.
Yeah, but my intro said no calls to violence, dude.
This isn't an issue of like edgy humor. This is an issue of like really incompatible policy positions, I think. I think the issue when it comes to this like weird like
No. All of it is related to the idea of effectively bringing people into the vote. All these pieces play into this ultimate goal. And if you have a situation where the general perception, which goes back to my initial point, the general perception of the base is that leftists are now basically Nazis who hate Jewish people. And then you have this individual who has always been liberal, also Jewish, feels this way and voted as a protest. And then she's trying to come back, trying to understand, trying to converse with the Democrats so she doesn't protest vote again. And she, at the very least potentially change her mind, or at the very least open her mind, or get a new perspective, or just learn something different. And as a response, after all the Nazi shit that the leftists were doing, now the normal Democrats are saying she's a fucking retard and she's stupid. So now we got the far leftists and the center leftists both criticizing her. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? That's not understanding the human psychology right there. That's being blatantly ignorant on purpose. So no, that's not how it works.
Joke or rhetoric policing is you've got like, I don't know enough about Talia, but was that her name? Tali?
Yeah.
Tali. Okay. So I'm not saying she's an extremist or whatever, just because I just don't know her positions. But it feels like when talking about her, it's the equivalent of like soy pilled, or the soy pill over here is like somebody who speeds occasionally in his car, and Tali is like kind of sort of wanting to support the mob. And then we've got the soy pill speeding in his car, and we're like, well, she's just not going to side with you if you're a criminal. And it's like, okay, I just don't think speeding is that big of a deal. It's not really about the speeding. It's the fact that how are you aligned with the mob and complaining about one side speeding? That just doesn't make any sense to me. That's soy as fuck. Not in the soy pill way, but like in an actual.
Okay, hold on. Stop. We have to stop framing this as an edgy joke issue. Maybe that's Connor's issue.
I also want to be very clear. I think there is no justification of voting for Donald Trump and MAGA. They suck. I am not justifying her vote. I don't want to justify her protest vote. I think her protesting vote was stupid. But the point stands on the effectiveness on appealing to the middle, the independents, the people that will determine the outcome of an election. That still stands.
I don't know. And this isn't even a moral issue to me, to be super frank. What I'm talking about is effectiveness. I do not think that super divisiveness is what is effective. I don't think it's what's been effective for Trump at all in any way, because he lost in 2016 despite getting smeared aggressively by the Democrats. He still won, had a weak presidency, and then Joe Biden won because everyone was sick of how divisive he was. And then he won again, but again, in large part,
I think Biden won because of COVID. I think COVID fucked the whole world up and everybody's mad. But it's like Trump literally tried to steal the presidency and like didn't lose as bad as anywhere as he should have, and then he won again. And Trump is like probably the most divisive president or person, period, that I've seen in I don't know my lifetime. So it just seems
you're having one complete reasoning for a multifaceted outcome does not help your case here. Like, I'm gonna call her Kyla because that's what they call her, and her other name is too long. Kyla provided another reason. Now, if we're talking about percentage of reason in terms of his vote, I mean, you could argue that it's not as high as the end of COVID and the economy, which I think is perfectly fine. But it's still a reason that a subsection of people did not vote. One of the two.
Seems like the divisiveness is not a thing that scares people away from your movement. I just don't know where that idea comes from, because especially if you look at the big group of people that vote for him, white people, like what's the reason they cite the most for wanting to be with Trump? It's like wokeness, which seems to play right into divisive and edgy jokes.
Well, actually, part of the issue is wokeness is something that you guys don't really do. Maybe Soy is leaning into it. I'm not really sure. Wokeness is generally this like PR policy of canceling and like purifying people out of our group to say that they're not good enough. That's calling everyone a racist and all these sorts of things. It's a thing that got you banned off of Twitch, right? And it's the thing that if Soy Pill went on TikTok for 1 second, it would get banned him off of because he uses edgy jokes too, right? So wokeness is incredibly divisive and it is driving people away because people fucking hate it. And so when I'm talking about being mean, I'm not saying don't be mean. That's never been my position. I'm clearly mean to people all the time. What I'm saying is we have to be mean effectively. And I don't think scorched earth is effective policy. In the case of your joke, it was funny. And I bet you if you gave it 2 weeks to breathe, it might have actually landed super well. Unfortunately, it didn't because the offensive level was higher than the funniness, probably because of the immediacy of the event happening. Unfortunately, right? I'm not saying don't make those jokes.
That analysis can't ever be applied to anything for conservatives, though. Why do we have two forms of analysis?
Nobody's talking about conservatives. I would argue the joke would have never. Oh no, I disagree to myself because I already made the claim that it would have been better if they waited later on. I don't know. I just feel like there's no value in making jokes of kids dying. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sensitive, but I just don't see any value of jokes about kids dying. I don't know, man. Maybe fictional kids, like in Attack on Titan, maybe fictional kids in like series like One Piece, but like real life kids, fuck, man. I don't know. Well, people like fictional scenarios too, but like real deaths, I don't know, man. I don't know about all that.
Conservatives winning. I don't care about them winning.
You should care about it because you're saying you care about political effectiveness. They just won both halves of Congress. They controlled the Supreme Court and they won the presidency even with a popular vote. So clearly what they're doing is effective. So I don't know how we can say, well, I don't care what the conservatives do. I just want to be effective.
But is what's effective calling people rats? Is that what's effective?
I think that's what people like about him. You ask people, what do they like about Trump?
They don't say aggressiveness. They say he's funny and authentic. Let me go. Let me shut the fuck up. I'm ruining the video. Continue.
They don't say the policy. They don't know any of Trump's policies. They don't say.
Hold on. This is total bullshit. And I'm not going to let it slide. But I'm calling bullshit right now, okay? So number one, I've had DGG in my fucking comments for the past fucking week because I've effectively had my milquetoast criticism of the fucking take or whatever. And what they've all said is like, well, look at how mean Tectone was. And look how mean and stupid Asmongold is. And look how mean and stupid Donut Operator was in reference to the Palisades fire. And so I go and check the fucking tweets and they go, fuck you, Biden. So where's the direct analog to this specific behavior where you're making fun of fucking dead people?
Where, first of all, it wasn't just fuck you, Biden. One was a fuck you to a request for FEMA funds, I think. Another one was blaming Biden and calling him old and decrepit for not, for he didn't go to either Texas or California or something. Another one was like making fun of LGBT people and DEI. Is it the exact equivalent?
It's not fucking equivalent. That's the thing. And the problem with Destiny here is everything that Connor and Kyla are saying applies to the point that Connor is making, because their meanness of saying fuck Biden, fuck Joe Biden, fuck his old ass, and fuck FEMA funding, all wrong, all disgusting, mega sucks, right? Cool. It's poignant aggressiveness and messaging that corresponds to the idea that FEMA is not working and should be cut, which is part of the MAGA platform, and Joe Biden's too old to run the government. There's no connective political capital to the fucking joke you made. Nothing. If you made fun of maybe if you brought up like FEMA funding in regards to the floods, I still would be hesitant because kids died, but it would be a much more effective joke, and you will get way less backlash. Way less backlash.
No, but it's like insanely tasteless. What is the
is that equivalent to mocking the dead? I don't give a fuck about mocking the dead. I'm making fun of the dead right now. I'm talking about other people who care about that shit.
An equivalent to mocking the dead. An equivalent to mocking the dead would be all of the Democrats, or not the Democrats. It would be Tim Pool and others who are making fun of the one dude on the street in New York that got stabbed to death in front of his girlfriend, who are like, this is exactly the kind of thing that these guys vote for. Or the go-to example is
it when they're all burning.
Hold on. This isn't about being equivocal. This isn't about being equivocal. This isn't about being equivocal.
This is bullshit.
No,
I'm not
we
going to let it
have to
slide.
have a higher standard. We already hold ourselves to a higher standard than Republicans. They have no morals. Have you not read Lauren Southern's book? You have people unironically taking money to peddle false information. It's only the right that has done bad things. But the issue is
it moral standards or is it political effectiveness? Which one is it then? Those are two different things.
Hold on.
Well,
and
you're
before we
saying
move on,
that we
I
should
want
do
to
whatever
issue
the
a
Republicans
challenge.
do because they're already doing bad stuff. And I am saying, I don't know if these are the standards that we want to hold ourselves to. For example, if it is, why don't you just spread a bunch of misinfo and start paying for bot farms? That would be way more effective.
Oh my God, she fucking flaming yawn Destiny there. If you want to do all the fucking political strategies that evil ass MAGA party wants to do, then why don't you do exactly what they do? Misinformation, lie all the fucking time, and make people believe the worst shit about the other side. That's what they do all the time. If you are going to use the argument, oh, but MAGA does it, then go all the way. Use all their strategies. Oh, yo, Destiny got cooked crazy in that. He doesn't have a response to that one. He doesn't.
The question is whether we want political effectiveness or moral standards. I think there's a different morality about making fun of people versus like lying about stuff. I would argue that these are two different things. But the question is just, are we talking about like lying about stuff? I think there's a different morality about making fun of people versus like lying about stuff. I would argue that these are two different.
But your argument the entire time has been political effectiveness. You haven't been making the moral. Kyla's trying to make the moral argument. She only used that hypothetical scenario or that case study or case question or whatever you want to call it. She only used that to highlight the irrationality of the logic you're trying to apply to the actions you already did by always comparing it to MAGA's, what they do.
Things, but the question is just: are we talking about political effectiveness, or are we talking about like having some go high when they go low road moral standard thing?
No, I want to make one point, and I want to challenge the audience, okay? Because what I'm hearing is
Connor, you should have forced Destiny to answer that question.
About is fair play, and so what I'm looking about is turnabout. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So if you want to come up with other egregious behaviors that the right wing is engaged in, I'm going to agree with you. I endlessly bitch about the $9 billion rescission package that's projected to kill 14 million people. Trust me, I care way more about that than I care about Steven's fucked up joke, okay? However, that being said, if you're going to say, I'm not done yet, Erudite,
I'm sorry, you're yapping.
I'm not done yet, Erudite, thank you. I'm not done yet, Kyla, thank you.
Okay, let counterpoints finish. Hold on, let counterpoints finish.
Thank you.
Land your plane, sir.
All right, thank you. Anyways, so I challenge you, send it to my DMs, send it to my email, show me where these alt media pundits have been shitting on the dead people in the Palisades fires. Send it to me, please.
Tyler, now it's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I shouldn't go aggro on Connor. He's my debate partner. So the issue for me is that moral standards can be part of a political effectiveness, particularly if they're your espoused moral standards, right? The left typically has stood on some level of moral standards. We think that we're better. We're not trying to steal elections. We're not trying to spread misinformation. We're not trying to take away people's rights. That's the standards that we stand upon, which is why it would be really ineffective advocacy if we say all these things and then there's evidence that we're doing the opposite. This is why MAGA is in an absolute blowout right now, because one of the standards that they cared about was like truth and justice, particularly around the Epstein files. And Trump is completely caving to that. And it is causing a massive Republican fallout. There is massive schism going on as a result of them not standing up to some of their standards. Now, I agree that the Republican standards of
She's absolutely correct. Oh my goodness, she's cooking insane right now. Okay.
being a pundit is not the standards that I want the left to have. But that's because I think the left is right. I think reality leans left, and there are certain standards that I don't want to fall to. And one of the standards, for example, here is one that I actually don't think Republicans fail very hard, which is how we talk to people who we disagree with. Typically, when I go into Republican spaces, they're going to say a bunch of stupid information and they're going to spread misinfo, and at worst, they'll be bad faith. However, if I go into leftist spaces, as you personally know, Stephen, as Soy Pill, I literally just go on TikTok once and debate people, and I'm sure you'll experience it. The leftists are fucking deranged. They're super nasty. They try to destroy your career, and they morally condemn you along lines and values that you hold, like not being a racist. And so we keep losing in these ways because in part, we allowed the leftists to set the tone of what the left looks like, which we should have never agreed to at all. But in converse, no, you don't get to interrupt me. No.
No, she's cooking. Shut the fuck up. Let her keep cooking. She is cooking a 5-star meal on some Sanji One Piece shit. Keep on going.
One second. But in converse, yeah, it's a two-parted argument. I'm sorry, Soy Pill, if that's hard for you to keep up on. Okay. The second part is how we engage with those who are opposite. Some of the most, I will just say this, at the TPUSA event, every single conservative that came up was super excited to see Destiny. They're like, he's so good. He's so smart. But man, I wish you wouldn't make fun of dead kids. And all through the canvassing events, do you know how many people came up to me who were conservatives who were polled because of your red pill arc, where to this day, Myron Gaines respects you because even though you disagreed with them the entire time, and even though you were harsh on it, you were not nasty and you didn't go scorched earth, or you didn't do this like smug condescending shit that like leftists and I think Soy Pill think is based. That was effective. It just was effective. And I think that there is mounds of evidence to support that.
Okay, I'm still here. I'm just turning off my camera.
Let's go.
Clap. I can't say, I don't even need to provide commentary. Honestly, Destiny should shut the fuck up for the rest of this stream because there's no way to respond. She's correct. Everything she just said is correct. But let's see if Soy Pill can rebuttal that.
Soy Pill and Soy Pill. And then
two things. One, on one side of your mouth, you're saying, hey, the left is losing because we're policing and we're woke and we're calling people racist and we have these standards and it's driving people away, which is what is happening when people are complaining about Destiny's joke. Oh, you can't do that. That's crossing a line. And this is exactly what I'm talking about in the beginning when I said there's an authenticity problem.
What? There was no inconsistency of what she said. You said one side of your mouth that you're implying an inconsistency.
Problem where people look at like a Dean Withers and a Harry Sisson, and you just saw him maybe on the Adam Friedland show. He wouldn't say retarded because he's like, I can't do that. That's my democratic, handlers won't let me say the nasty words, and that's what.
I don't give a fuck if he wants to say retarded. Dean's also says dumb shit all the time, and then he canceled a whole fucking tour because the micro fucking aggressions that didn't even exist. So what they do is different. How it's all about generalized perceived. It's all about generalized perception. It's not equate. You're oh my fucking god. You're equating aggressive words. The difference is Destiny's invaluable joke gives out a perception that he doesn't care that kids died from a natural disaster. That is a negative connotation. The problem with people like Dean is that those MFers are so freaking woke, and those are the people that believe that black people can't be racist, white people are super racist, this is a patriarchy, all that woke shit that honestly nobody gives a fuck about. That's the general perception, that they're all crazy leftists. It's not about the words he's saying, it's about how the conclusion or the perception of what his messaging means. The problem is that their messaging does not fucking work. Destiny's messaging typically does, because he ends up being factually correct oftentimes. The messaging gets construed when you say bullshit that has no value, and then the whole entire conversation switches from your real messaging to your edgy fucking joke that honestly had no value and wasn't that funny. If you had a joke that was more focused on something that is a political message, like joking with, talking about Donald Trump and Epstein and their weird fucking relationship, and make a joke about that, all of us would love it. All of us would love it. You made a joke about dead kids in a natural disaster, dog. Come on now.
But no one fucking likes them because they're lame and manufactured. Meanwhile, you've got all these people that Trump, went on their podcast and he appeared authentic to, and that's the reason why people say they like Trump, is the being authentic and saying what you feel. And you can say, oh, I don't want to go down to that standard, but in the same breath you're saying, well, we shouldn't steal elections, we shouldn't spread misinfo. Obviously, but that is not what is happening right now. What's happening is people are policing jokes because, oh, they're too edgy and you're too mean. And when you say there's a way, hold on, I'm sorry, I thought we weren't interrupting, Kyla.
You have to actually engage with my argument. Well, I don't know how many times I have to tell you it's not about edgy jokes.
I don't know how many times you have to interrupt me before I can finish my sentence.
If you keep strawmanning me, I'm going to interrupt you to correct your perception of my argument. You have to talk to me.
I know
and
you
stop
think
saying
I'm criticizing
jokes.
you.
And stop saying jokes, because that's not what I'm saying.
Why are we here, Kyla? Was it not because of an edgy joke?
I literally said at the very beginning that that might be Wick's issue, and that is, but that isn't my issue. And then I gave an entire argument.
I'll say it's my issue.
Okay, it's counter. Okay, so you I guess shouldn't be here for the topic of the joke thing. You should.
No, you couldn't rebuttal her argument, so you made a different argument. That's exactly what happened. Don't be sensitive now. Don't act like a leftist and a magtard. Come on now.
Be here for the how do we talk to people? And
obviously,
I texted Wick and I said
it's all
explicitly.
connected. Let me explain this. It's all connected. These jokes is how we treat people. They feel that you're laughing, but it's true, right? If someone is making a joke, right, about something that someone deeply cares about and they get deeply offended, this will drive them to act against our interests, right? So why do this? What upside, what gain is there? So her take, Erudite's take on political effectiveness is tied into the topic as a whole. That's why she's here. Anyway, continue.
Right. And I'm saying that edgy jokes are part of an authenticity.
Fucking weak shit to have to appeal to the name of the debate so that you can get a fucking
I'm not saying you're losing.
You said,
I'm not
why are
trying to
you
dunk on you,
here?
Kyla.
Which is so fucking annoying.
God. Kyla, please. We're friends. I'm not actually trying to dunk on you for that. I'm just
it's
obviously
humanizing and being.
No, you sound a little bitch man when you try to do that. I'm not gonna lie. But actually, we're debating on edgy jokes, so why are you here? Like what? Come on, dog.
Nasty. Then talk to me.
Okay, so I'm talking to you. So yes, the dehumanizing, nasty, edgy jokes are part of an authenticity that you can see in places that appeal to young voters that are swinging away from the uptight policing Democrats that you are calling a problem. And
it's not authentic though. Like, it's not authentic. Making fun of kids that die from a natural disaster. There's no fucking authenticity there. There's no authenticity. There's none. Come on. like you're just making a bunch of false equivalencies. Like, what do we do?
Agree is a problem. The over-policing, the wokeness, the left stuff. And just to be clear, I don't think that just dunking and saying, oh, you're racist, you're stupid, is like, oh, it's based, we should always do that. The reason I did that to Tali is not because I think that's how you should talk to all Trump supporters. It's when they speak on an authority where they're saying, well, we know what we should do. Is very different from understanding how you can win people over. And this idea that like, well, I have to be infinitely curious about why Tali, this fucking moron, decided to vote for Trump despite being gay, being Jewish, and having all of these things on her. But she doesn't have to be at all curious about why I might call her out about that, why she should vote for a Democrat, is insane. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of.
You were what? That was that argument sucked. That argument was stupid. Are you gonna be curious on why I called that argument stupid? Let me know. That argument is fucking ass.
Energy, and we should be spending it educating people like that on policy and how it's going to affect them, because that's the only way you're actually going to have political effectiveness, not policing jokes. I think it's a waste of time.
Yeah, let's educate those people that I'm calling stupid, because they're going to listen to me when you know that teacher you had in 4th grade that called you stupid and then tried to teach you a lesson? Yeah, those were very effective, right? Oh, what the fuck?
Okay.
Sure. So the first thing that you pointed to. The first thing that you pointed to was a dialectic, right? You said on one side of your mouth, you're saying that we should stop like canceling people out. And on the other side, you're now essentially policing me for how mean I'm being. I'm talking about a dialectic here. I'm talking about the intolerance of tolerance, right? In the case of purity woke scolding, I think it's bad because I think it derails from the actual ideas. I think it typically targets people that it shouldn't be targeting because it's endlessly looking for new targets. And I think it kicks out people that we align with fundamentally.
I'll be honest, dialectic. See, I'm not a debate bro. I just know how to debate naturally. So I need to know these debate bro terms. Dialectic. The art of investigating or discussing the truth of opinions, according to metaphysical contradictions and their solutions. Interesting.
Mentally. I am not sitting here and saying you're not left or you're ontologically evil for these things. I'm saying you're ineffective and it's betraying our own moral standards that I think we have erected and I think we should stand to, which is that we want to engage with each other and we want to be able to talk to the opposing side. I think
these things aren't mutually exclusive. That's what I'm saying. And also, can you please, like, because I don't have data on this and this isn't me like calling you out, could you show me where there's this like swath of voters that are turned off by this and didn't vote because of it versus, which I think there's probably more data for, who is saying, well, I'm looking for an authentic Democratic Party, which I think edgy jokes like this, as much as you might say, hey, they're ineffective, I think they're much more effective.
Never said edgy jokes are ineffective.
Let's give it to
okay, well, whatever way you want to.
If you want to talk, no. Well, if you want to talk to me, just ask me my opinion, right? What I would say is,
when I repeat this, so
dropping
I don't say retard.
It wrong. Well, it's not just don't say it wrong; it's understand my position. That's what I'm asking you to do.
You say political effectiveness. This joke itself was offensive. What about it was not politically effective? And then I will use that language every time I reference it. I'm not trying to strawman you. I'm literally just trying to repeat what you said. Sorry.
I'll tell you, talking about prepubescent kids jerking off, that's probably the least politically effective aspect of the joke.
Wouldn't it be schlicking in this case because they're mostly girls?
So to be clear, there's not going to be political data that you're asking for. In large part, I think Blue Rose openly, actually, David Shore talked to me about this and I asked him why he didn't include like wokeness as a reason why people voted. And he was like, well, our list of 40 things was just kind of arbitrary fundamentally. And he agreed probably it actually should have been included. It would have been interested to know. So I don't have this data to give you, or people like, well, man, Destiny was really mean this one day to me. So that's why I voted for Trump, right? Mm-hmm. What I do have is psychological theory, right? About how people work. And what we're talking about here when we're talking about changing minds is we're talking about changing fundamentals or deep things to people's worldviews. And these are really, really hard things to change, as anyone in psychology can tell you. And what I'm saying is that while edgy jokes can be useful because it code switches to young people that you're chill, that you don't give a fuck about the PC shit, and you can make a joke and roll with it, the problem is that when you're smug, condescending, and nasty all the time, what it does is it doesn't code switch to anyone. Typically, people don't like condescension at all. In fact, that's why I think on your panel, people were more mad at you than Sansal, who was saying put Republicans in gulags, which is way more extreme than anything you were saying. It's because you're being smug the whole time. So it rubs people worse. And in general, shaming people.
Yeah, energy. I also agree to this. The way you say things, the timing of when you say it, the intention behind it, all these play a factor in messaging. Whereas, like, I get the general perception that this dude Soy Pill thinks that MAGA is beneath him, or fuck no, not that one. That like a lot of these people who vote for Trump are beneath him, or some shit like that. And that type of energy could put you off, like for sure. Now, I probably lie more with Soy Pill. Like, I don't give a fuck if people think that way personally, but she is correct on how that can make people feel off-putting for sure.
For deep intrinsic beliefs doesn't cause people to change. In fact, there's a dearth of data that there's a large amount of data that shows it causes people typically to become defensive and move more towards their original position.
Okay, so my position is not we should be shaming people in mass to change their votes. So I mean,
after
if you
you're done, we're going to give
my position. We can do that too.
Yeah. Okay. Counterpoints.
Yeah.
Please.
So I don't want to be exclusively in political commentary for the next 20 years. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera while I talk just because my toddler is refusing to leave the room. So anyways, the point being that I am about political efficacy insofar as we're trying to figure out how to combine alt media and normal media. Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out how to do. We're also trying to figure out how to get mainstream politics to talk to alt media political people. Okay, and what's happening is we're talking about this fucked up joke, and I am here to police the jokes a little bit, and I'm bringing it up. And Steven's probably the most successful person here, and he's like, "Lol, wouldn't it specifically be female style of masturbation?" And I'm telling you, that's the exact kind of fucking thing. It's funny. I'm not going to say it's not funny, but that's the exact kind of thing that if I try to book with a mainstream person and I say, oh, hey, I have this guy. He's huge in alt media. He's got tens of thousands of listeners. He's got millions of post-recorded views. He wants to canvas. He wants to be active. Can we do an interview together? And then if somebody takes that clip and they blow it up, they're going to be like, isn't that the guy who talks about like prepubescent female masturbation? And they're going to say no. So you're right. I do want to police your jokes a little bit.
Yeah, but like, what's the problem? Wait. What's the worst part? What's the worst part that would make me unbookable? Do you know what it is?
Well, I would say probably your abrasive personality and sex dramas.
No, I would say it's the fact that I'm on the left. You don't have to go to abrasive personality and sex dramas. Andrew Tate was like the leading red pillar for 2 years, and the conservatives.
That's actually a half decent point.
And he was invited into the White House, by the way. And that's not stopping any of these people from getting invited on shows. If anything, the problem you're describing, Connor, is that the left needs to be less uptight about who they invite on shows, which, by the way, they're pivoting to. I don't know if you've heard like the Washington Post story from today, but they are realizing that.
I agree that they need to be less uptight. I think this is probably where I'll start agreeing with. I think Kyla pretty much cooked the shit out of Destiny. On a serious note, she pointed out things that he needs to strongly consider, which is the point of this conversation. Not cooking him necessarily. If we're talking about in terms of like the left and how they act typically, and I'm sure I'm gonna end up agreeing quite a bit.
Yeah, like disowning people, over policing for this kind of stuff is a waste of time and it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big issue is that like you keep saying like people don't like condescension, or people love condescension. They just like it when it's on their side. People absolutely do. You can see a billion people looking at Trump and everybody else being condescending as fuck to their political adversaries. People like it. They just don't like when it's directed at them.
Side. It bolsters your own side, but that's not effective in pulling the opposite side, which is what
politics isn't won by polling the opposite side. The goal shouldn't be how do I appeal to my diametrically.
No, it should be how do you appeal to the neutral people who vote in for different marginal reasons.
Pose political enemies at all points in time. At some point, you have to have
the moderates. It should be
how about appealing to our own side of people that like can go out and vote. How about appealing to like your own party members that are like these are Democrats and feel demotivated as fuck and don't like to actually go out and do anything because our whole party is just living constantly in the criticism of conservatives who have never in their lives considered criticism from the left.
Stephen, part of why you're effective is because you can do both. And what I'm saying to you
I'm
is
not a
that,
politician, so there's like a double. It's careful. I'm not trying to get elected, so there's like a different type of thing that I'm
sure,
going for.
but
I'm just
you're
saying,
going
like
to
people on
rally
the
behind
right.
politicians, and that's going to get, you're very effective at getting people politically active. What I'm saying here is that, like, I guess to Soy Pill, right? I understand that your position is not to be mean people to get them to change their votes. Got it. My criticism to you on the Tally thing specifically is that when you're mean to Tally and when you talk about her in such a smug, condescending, and disregarding way, you're signaling to her and everyone like her that basically.
Doesn't he eventually have her on? I feel like I got everything I needed from this conversation. I think Tally does show up. Honestly, I wish I could show up to more of these panels, but like happen at weird times and I got other shit to do. I pretty much I got everything I needed from this conversation. I think I don't think anybody could really respond to what Kyla said. I am curious, like, for an so I'll say this is where the video ends. I might react to the Tallybot stuff after.
Hello, sorry. I was just talking to Deb backstage. We're gonna bring him out too.
Why not? Fuck it.
Who?
Oh, please.
Oh, Deb. Hi, Deb.
The shortest, fattest otaku.
You interrupted our conversation, Wick. How could you?
Well, I told you guys I was bringing you guys on. Okay, that's it. Let's get back into the conversation, right?
Sure.
Do you feel?
I'll
Yeah,
restate
go ahead,
my criticisms of Steven and Swipe since they're different. My criticism of Steven is that he goes scorched earth too quickly with people who don't deserve it. And
one more,
ruins
$100
opportunities.
someone gave me privately. I'm sorry, they gave me $100 to say
Yeah,
this.
fair enough.
Steven is so deeply wrong here. Before the firefighter joke, his work had real impact, especially for those on the right. For many, he was the only exposure they had to someone on the left who was both intelligent and reasonable. The left is held to higher standards because they chose to hold themselves to higher standards. They don't get to fail because the moment they do, it validates the right's narrative that they were never better to begin with. Okay.
Just to be clear, higher standards. If that means to you about whether
I'm be honest, they are correct. You better. He's about to go. He's about to go semantic.
not you're telling a joke, you are so beyond fucking retarded that I don't even know how you got $100 to donate unless I came from some.
No, he used higher standard as a generalized term to indicate that you care more about people and the system and good things generally, not because you tell the edgy joke. And again, it's all about intentionality, like Kyla said, and it's also about value. I think people need to realize that so many things have value to so many people. But people just be doing things.
Government welfare program. It's probably being cut by Trump right now. So congratulations.
That was
I
helpful.
like $100 wherever it comes from. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, my criticism would be that Stephen goes too quickly scorched earth, and I think it's to his detriment. I think it loses him a lot of
Just
social
like he did
capital
right
that he
now.
could otherwise have, and that he could be leveraging in times when, particularly, MAGA is falling apart. And I wish that you would do better because I think you're probably one of the more effective voices on the left. My criticism of Swipe Hill is specifically your conversation with Tally. I found distasteful, and I was unhappy with it because I think that you generally hold yourself to a higher standard, and I would expect that. Even when Tally is retarded and won't admit that her vote was bad.
Okay, well, I'm much more calm now. So, Tally, what would it take for you to vote for a Democrat in the next election? What can I say to you to get you to come to my side?
There's not just one thing that you could say to me. And I just need to reiterate, I'm not saying that the Democrats should be spending any inordinate amount of time reaching out to people like me. I've declared myself no longer a partisan for the Democratic Party. And so there's a real question, I think, within the Democratic Party of what should the approach be for building coalitions. And you have people built in, the progressives and the more left-wing part of the party, who some of them don't vote, but maybe more of them are more likely to than the moderates, the people who are the disaffected liberals. So I'm not saying that this is anything that the left, that's Connor, I see you shaking your head. I hope that's not what they do. I'm with you, but I don't feel like I'm really truly not trying. I'm not trying to beg to be wooed. I'm here talking as someone who formerly voted as a Democrat and talking about, yes, all the vibes and the cultural things that ultimately pushed me away. I'm not pro-Trump. I wouldn't vote for him again. I just haven't come out and said that I regret voting for him in 2024. I don't know how much that'll do for anyone. I don't, can't change the past anyway. But I'm absolutely a winnable voter in the future. It's not going to be any one thing that you say to me, Soy Pill.
No, it's not about what I'm going to say. I'm saying what do the Democrats need to do to win your vote? I mean, like, you're a former Trump voter, and clearly we need to be listening to what you have to say about the state of the political vibes.
Allie, because I watched the content related to this, could I ask you a couple of things about like what was off-putting about Democrats?
Come on.
Or is this where the conversation should go? Like,
no, I still want to beat them up over their Mott and Bailey. I still want to come at Steven and Soy Pill for making a beautiful Mott and Bailey and hiding behind it and being like, epic.
Wait, what is the Mott and Bailey?
Okay, I keep on saying that being mean alienates the center, and you guys keep saying Republicans are in hell. They're in hell.
Because our point is that Republicans are the meanest they've ever been, ever. And this is the first time they've won the popular vote in forever. So how do you reconcile those two statements?
Because you've already acknowledged that the reason why they won all of this shit seems like it was a mixture of global trends and acts of God himself.
Not just that,
also
though.
Being mean is effective?
No, Trump did not win because of global issues. The Democrats lost because of global issues. How do you explain the fact that Trump swept?
You can't make that argument. You can't make that argument if you're also trying to say that the only way to start winning is being mean like Republicans, because I can make the same argument that unlike Democrats can't be mean, but the Republicans can be mean. Democrats can lose votes for being mean. The Republicans can gain votes for being mean. Same principle. Both are true. I'm be honest, both are fucking true. They just are. They just both are true. And that also corresponds with what that earlier person said with the $100, is that they hold themselves to a higher standard. And that is just the territory of the game when you're a Democrat. And for the most part, you've been pushing better policy and better, more human rights initiatives than the Republicans. So you can't have it both, Destiny. You can't have your cake and eat it too, dog. It's not how it works.
With no competition, the Republican primary, after he lost the last election against the same guy who was supposed to be running again.
Why did he win the primaries? Because he has almost all of the voices and names behind him, because they were sick of Joe Biden. They wanted to get rid of Biden.
Yes, just like hold on. If I say why did somebody win an election, and you say it's because they got more votes than the other guy, that's obviously not what I'm asking.
Sorry, when I say an incumbent, I'll just answer it. The answer is, what I'm saying, not because he got the most votes. Sorry if I didn't make it clear enough. What I'm saying is that he was an incumbent, right? The reason why
he wasn't an incumbent, he lost his election. He was running
the Republican Party. Stop being obtuse.
When I say incumbent, I don't mean to use if the word is incorrect, I apologize. What I mean is he was the president for 4 years and had 4 to 5 years already of advertising behind him, which the years of advertising behind a name is super important. What?
Why did he win in 2016?
Because Hillary Clinton eats babies.
Because Hillary Clinton was so utterly unelected.
Why did he win the primary?
You guys are being, oh my god, they're correct when it comes down to it. There's no one single, you are not allowed to just put all the capital behind mean messaging for Donald Trump's victory. You can't be doing that. That doesn't work here. That doesn't.
Yes, he won the primary. There were way more people
because the moderates split the vote. No. Fuck this. I'm not going to have you rewrite history right in front of me. I know because I was fucking furious. Trump had 37% of the fucking vote, and there were 3 moderates splitting the Republican vote. If those fucking cunts, Kasich or fucking Rubio, had dropped out, then we would have rallied around a moderate candidate, and we wouldn't have this fucking problem, and I wouldn't have to deal with the goddamn Republican Party as it currently exists.
Trump was a moderate candidate. What are you talking about? Compared to fucking Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio, you're staple neocons? Trump's policy-wise was a moderate in that primary.
Do you think MAGA is a moderate movement, Stephen?
In terms of, now we're moving south on the political axis instead of left.
But he's not saying, oh my God. He's talking about, but Destiny, you understand. I think I understand what counterpoints his frustration is. You get what he's trying to say. Based off the current understanding, the MAGA is far right. Based off that, Rubio would be considered moderate, not based off the general understand or the previous status quo where Trump seemed to be moderate. That man completely shifted the political spectrum. He's talking about our current understanding of what his platform actually is. I think it is. I think that's what he's saying. That sounds like what he's saying to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hold on.
Do you think that some Republicans saw that he was a repellent, incompetent piece of shit all the way back in 2015?
Trump policy-wise was a moderate when he was running in the primary. The fact that he took like a non-committal position related to funding Planned Parenthood, the fact that he bragged about being in Hillary Clinton's fucking wedding photos and shit like that, the fact that he seemed like kind of indecisive or back and forth on like the Iraq war compared to like the hawkish neocons and shit that you had on stage, especially in the form of Cruz and Rubio, he was definitely more moderate than the other guys in terms of policy. He won because he was
Hold on. I feel like you're talking past my point. Okay. Well, maybe moderate is the incorrect word. But there was something called the Republican Party that cared about a republic and talked about the Constitution of the United States and talked about freedom of expression, freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, family values, all that bullshit. That all existed when Trump was there. But Trump hijacked the Republican Party with a cult of personality, and some people, such as myself, saw that was happening in 2015 and thought he was a piece of shit.
Can you think about just real quick.
Normal Republicans
think about what you're saying.
You said the vote.
You said cult of personality. What was that personality based on?
Wait, but we're talking about different people, though, and that's
why
what Tyler said
or no, we
earlier.
don't follow through. No. Why the cult of personality? Well, because it was based on being mean and divisive.
And that's appealing to
40% of the Republican Party being dumb as fuck didn't have to do with the original point that we were making.
It's not about being dumb. It's the fact that it's effective rhetoric. It works.
No. Destiny's not this stupid. No, he's not this stupid. He's not this stupid. He knows it doesn't work. He knows that there is a very specific people that are being affected by it. He knows that also attached to the mean rhetoric was the lies. He convinced a whole slew of people to believe that the government wasn't for them, that the government in itself was filled with a deep state. That's not aggressive messaging. That's manipulation. Come on, bro. In addition to the woke bullshit that the left was doing, and he just used it as an ammo to attack them, and the Democrats would not appeal against it. And then he created targets, which is another strategy. Created targets of dehumanization to put all the blame to. And what he did was put all the blame to immigrants. That was a big one too. So he used the woke stuff that Democrats would not fight against as ammo to attack them. He used immigrants as a target for white America to attack. And then he manipulated, lied, and was authentic and funny and meanly message. All of those factors played into it. It wasn't one thing, Destiny. Come on, don't be like that.
I don't know.
So you think that Trump won
we should follow down here. I think we should probably move to the next point.
How many times did we hear because he tells it like it is?
What? Yeah, wasn't it way more effective though? Because Hillary was like swinging at him super hard, and he got to always claim counterpunching. Didn't that help his claims?
He literally had his audience chanting "lock her up." No, it was not because Hillary.
I hear you. I love calling out MAGA's hypocrisy. They are fucking hypocrites. I agree. The point that counterpoints and Kylo are trying to make is the appeal to the moderates, the ones that will win you the election. Also, more people on the left need to fucking vote. That would help too.
Swung first. Absolutely not. What do you mean? What do I mean? Trump was way more mean in that general election, and I was even asking why he won the primary. He was mean in the primary.
I don't know
for everybody.
He's a uniquely unlikable candidate.
God, possibly. It sounds like an act of God. Moderates were fighting over things.
Okay, so I can answer to the 2016 primary. Just real quick, Tali, please. The 2016 primary, one of the reasons, the major reason I would say that the Trump won in that is because he's anti-Iraq war. That was why. And he was one of the few people on that stage who was anti-Iraq war. He was
No.
seen as yes, he absolutely was, and he was seen as
That's
anti.
true. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he claimed that he was no new wars and anti international conflict. That was another big reason why he got voted for people too. For sure.
Agree with
That's
you
not
on
the
this.
reason he won.
That was one of the major
is,
ones.
it
He
is.
was seen as anti-establishment in the same way that Bernie was.
He was
right?
heterodox.
And he was seen as a firebomb into the system that was going to change it up. People didn't really understand. It wasn't his divisiveness so much. It was that he was seen as an
Didn't he
outsider.
shit on them
and he
all?
was.
I'm be honest. After thinking about it, Bernie should have been the candidate in 2016. Now, you may, if you wanted to win the election, Bernie should have been the candidate. He should have. He should have, because everybody on the left would have voted for him. All the Democrats would have voted for him, and then he would have appealed to the same moderates that Trump appealed to. Bernie probably should have been the 2016 candidate.
Wasn't he like
Yes.
super effective in the
He
debates?
was
Like he was
very
like,
mean to all of them, actually.
well, he wasn't just mean though, right?
He was
was
just
mean in
mean.
the right way. No, he
Yeah,
was mean in
mean.
the right
Yeah,
way.
wait.
Shitting on Ted Cruz's wife and by
Oh
saying
my
his
god,
dad looked like
hasn't
the
that been my
Zodiac
argument
killer.
the whole fucking time? You stupid motherfucker! I've been saying the whole time that he's been mean in an effective way, not in an ineffective
What does that
way.
mean, though? The only thing you
that's
say is
why
just
we
don't
keep
go
asking
scorched
what that
earth.
means.
People like when you shit on institutionalists for institutionalist type things. They
Like
don't
his
like when
ugly
you're
wife?
smug and
Like his
condescending.
ugly
They don't
wife?
like when you shit on dead
Was
kids.
his wife ugly? Wait, was his wife ugly?
No, but she made that joke and he got really popular off stuff like that.
He
And calling
wasn't ugly?
Rosie O'Donnell fat. Ted Cruz is what? Heidi Cruz is
Bro, what? You don't even believe that these are good reasons why you won the election. Stop bringing up fucking weak ass points of reference to and bolster your argument. You know the stronger points to make. You know what we're.
not that ugly. No.
Oh, did they hate
Y'all are
Rosie
trying to-
O'Donnell? Is that or the period joke with Megyn Kelly, or the jokes about McCain being a prisoner of war, or like what are all these unpopular
Yes.
things?
I don't
that-
want you to have the exact
No,
policy, but that's why we keep asking you, what is effective meanness? Because you're not against certain meanness. You're okay with certain meanness. What the fuck is effective meanness?
Effective
Probably
meanness
not shitting
is-
on dead kids and joking about them jerking off. That's probably the line. I've
thank
said
you,
it 4
Kyla.
times.
Thank you, Kyla.
Why? Is
I mean, it's a pretty very clear red line. It's very
because
clear.
you can't contend with the point that I just made? Is that why you pretend it's a non-answer?
No, I
Well,
just
so
don't.
every
obvious
other
like
thing
you-
that
every
you
single
okay.
line,
I'm
So
just- I'm not
okay,
asking
wait.
you.
So is beating the shit out of kids okay, or what? Where if that's the only two categories of things that we can't make fun of, what are
Come
the?
the fuck on. Come the fuck
what?
on. I don't want to do this heap grain of sand argument. I don't
No,
know
what you keep
exactly.
saying, keep grain of sand.
Bro, of course, making fun of dead kids is not okay. What? Why are we acting like children? Like, come on. What are we?
You're doing the Nirvana.
Because
Nirvana
you're asking me
policy.
for it. Because you're
We're
asking
not
me
asking you for an exact demarcator. We're
When
just
you
asking
say
for in
mean
general.
right and mean wrong, these don't make any sense. We can kind of get the feels for it. In the case of the primaries, my understanding is that the Republicans were shitting on him first. They were making fun of him for not being a real politician, and he shit down their throats in return. He was more effectively mean at their own game, which is why it unleashed it, because he was
You can just
counterpunching in the
post
first
hoc
place.
rationalize any meanness, though. Like, how do we go? What's the strategy moving forward? What? Tell me right now. I'll listen, Kylo. What do I do? What am I allowed to be mean about? What am I not allowed to be mean about?
I think the thing
In
that Kyla said
general-
that, though, is the most accurate is you need to pick your targets. So, and again, it's weird to talk about this when I'm talking about myself in theory too, but it's not
I
just
pick you,
me. It's
Kelly.
people like me or other people with similar dispositions or whatever who are center left, center right. It also depends on who your audience is, who you're trying to speak to, who you care about influencing. It is true that there are lots of people on the right, obviously, who are totally okay with cruelty. Those are people who you're not trying to win over to your side. Obviously,
Okay,
yes.
well, my
They're
audience
in
loved
for
it. They
eating the
gave me a
cats and
lot
the
of
dog.
money, more
They're
money than
in
I've
for all
ever
of
made by
that.
shitting on you.
So you're just not okay. So he's being an asshole, does not want to engage in the conversation, and makes a stupid fucking point so he can make money about him making money. Was that supposed to be a joke? Because that joke sucked. That wasn't a good joke, especially when someone was trying to make a serious point. Oh, like, what are we doing?
You specifically, and having a little 2-hour venting session,
Good.
and then I went back and
You're
released
right.
the video
You're
to a
right
wider
because
public.
because the far left actually gets more pleasure out of attacking
my audience is
heretics
far
than they do attacking
It
your
is.
Yes.
audience.
Kinda.
It's far left.
It's the
Yes, it
narcissism of
is.
small differences. It's more fun to fight
Yes.
amongst your amongst people who are closer to you tribally than it is to fight the opposite, because it's
And if
expected
we
that
were-
you're going to fight the opposite.
And if I was having
Okay.
a town hall with a Trump voter, I wouldn't do that.
So my advice, again, if we go back to
What the
Stephen,
fuck,
would be
bro?
specifically this. I think I've already said it multiple fucking
Can we do it
times.
without saying scorched earth?
Yes. No. Sure. I'll drop the scorched earth for today. But also, why the fuck would that even matter?
Because it
Why
doesn't
that-
mean
why-
anything. What does scorched
It
earth
does
mean?
mean something. It does
What does it
mean
mean?
something.
Define it.
I can't. I've already told you I don't know exactly
like when
what
the
extent of
lights
sand
go
is,
out.
but
It's
it's definitely
when the
over
lights go
50,000.
out.
No,
It's a
stop,
general
stop,
thing.
stop talking over me. It's definitely over 50,000 grains of sand. I know that for sure. And that's the stuff that I'm talking
What
about.
is the 50,000
case-
grains of sand?
Sure. One example would be
Destiny's being difficult on purpose. He's being childish. He's being so childish right now. Like, what are we doing?
right after a bunch of kids died, your joke has to be really, really, really funny, and it has to be more funny than it is offensive. Otherwise, it won't
This
hit
is a
well.
mean
and it's
answer. I don't
not
understand what
good.
you're saying. You're not saying anything of it. You're not saying that scorched earth or 50,000 grains of sand. You're just saying that the sand has to be appropriately colored. So then all these jokes are okay as long as they're funny enough? Or what?
I'm tired. I'm all right. My energy for this reaction is officially done. Destiny's being difficult. Maybe he came around. If you guys want to watch the full thing, feel free, go watch it. You know, let's look in the comment section. Let's be like Brett Cooper for a second. Hey man, comment section. I don't know what our introduction is. The problem with Kyla and Counterpoints is they thought their argument was, here is a line in the sand, do not cross it, but they never drew a line. How about not making jokes about dead kid is not a line in the sand, it's a single example. No, it is a fucking line in the sand. What up? Yo. If you're asking me, how far can I go in terms of, you know, fighting someone, right? We're in a fight, and he asked me, I ask him, how far can I go? And he tells me, you know, you can't, don't punch me in the nuts. Then I go like, well, that's only an example of a place that I can't punch you. How far can I go? They gave an example. Now, did you need an articulation of why making jokes about dead kids is wrong? Do you need an articulation of that? Do you need an elaboration of why making jokes about dead kids is wrong? Are you that fucking retarded that you couldn't understand that? Hey, bro. Destiny's being difficult on fucking purpose. Like, come on, we understand what the line are. You're too smart to not understand that. You're just being difficult because you're getting pressed right now in a logical way that you can't really rebuttal. We understand conceptually why things are the way they are. If we want to go into the nitty-gritty to understand why the value of those things are problematic, we can. But don't act like you don't understand why it's bad. Talk more than anyone else, and I still don't know our argument. Yo, bro. I'm gonna be honest. Destiny's creating a very weird community of fucking idiots that are like, you can't be making fun of magtards and be retarded. I'm gonna be honest. No, as simple as that. You can't. It's like looking in the mirror and seeing yourself. How about you fucking lock in? How about that? Jeez. Like, come on. We need some sensibility here, man. I fucking hate MAGA too. I fucking hate Hassan's audiences. don't be as stupid as both of them, Destiny fans. Like, the fuck? Come on now. Be better. Have a higher standard. How about that? Oh, fuck. He has reacted to fucking moronic. All right. Well, that's all I got for that.